Okay, so welcome to this week's Conversations with Marléne and Pascale. This week we are having a think about how to reconnect with yourself and really, what that means, what it means to just kind of come back to basics and just slow down a little bit. So before we get into all the good stuff, let me take a time to, let us take a time to introduce ourselves. My name is Pascale Lane. I'm a therapeutic relationship and confidence coach, and I help women to heal into the life they truly deserve with more happiness, confidence, and success. Marléne, over to you.
I'm Marléne Rose Shaw. I'm a therapist and a coach and a self-help author, and I love helping people with their confidence and relationships.
Perfect. And we've got such a great crossover. I know we say it every time, but we really, really do. So this is a great one for us to be talking about today, because I think it's something which is appropriate. Certainly, I feel like it's appropriate for me to be talking about this week. And no doubt for you as well, and no doubt for our listeners as well. So what does reconnecting to self actually mean to you, Marléne?
I think, it's you could say reconnecting to self, and it could mean a lot of things, couldn't it? But I think there's something essentially about coming back to yourself, because life is so busy and we tend to, our attention is, external. We're looking out all the time. And I think it's easy to get lost in that sort of busyness of life, and to be going along in life and not actually living in the moment, not actually pausing and reflecting and really enjoying the now, and not really thinking about, well, who am I in the middle of all this? What do I actually want for my life? Because we're so busy doing, we forget to be being.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you are, well, in my world, my client base are largely women, working women. A lot of them run their own business or have got quite elevated jobs and are juggling family life, career, and in amongst all of that, and I know that I am all too familiar with this too. In amongst all of that, we can really forget ourselves in the process. We can be so busy kind of doing everything for everyone else and really forgetting to do the things that are important for us to do, to look after ourselves and to nurture ourselves. And so it sometimes has to be a really conscious effort to slow down, take time, and just reconnect, really. And also taking time to evaluate, actually, like a little bit like what we were just talking about before we started this session. Taking time to actually evaluate, what's working, what's going really well, what do I need to be doing more of, what do I need to be doing less of.
There's so many advantages, isn't there, to actually coming back to yourself and reconnecting with yourself, because how can we live our best lives if we don't really know what we want? I talk a lot with my clients about, because they're people, human beings, always say, I don't like, this isn't working, I don't want it, because we're wired like that for survival. But actually, it's only when we can say, well, what do I want, that we can actually, that's the goal, that's the destination we want to work towards. And I think I put in one of my books, actually, imagine a man driving around and around in circles, and he pulls over and he bursts into tears. And people are saying, well, why are you crying? And he says, where are you going? Are you lost? And he says, I don't really know where I'm going. I just know I wanted to get away from the from the last place. We can be a bit like that, driving around, and getting upset and crying and, getting stressed. And people can't help us because we don't know the destination we want them to help us get to. There's something about that reconnecting and that reevaluating, isn't there?
What I really love about that analogy, I think that's a fantastic analogy, because this is something that I talk about in a different way, but I really love that. I really love that example. Is that when we don't know, and when we're just in the car and we're just driving, we do end up driving in circles. And what that means is that we always come back to where we started. And unless we do the work, and this is what I talk about when I I help my clients with their changing their lives and helping their confidence and making all the positive changes. If we don't do the internal work, if we don't do the really deep inner work, then we end up then defaulting back very easily to where we started.
Yeah.
And it might look a bit different. It might be a bit different. The circumstances might be a bit different. But at the crux of it, we come back to where we started, because even though it might be uncomfortable, even though we might not like it and we're trying to move away from it, actually it's all we've ever known. And so there is comfort in that discomfort. And I just think that that's a really good. Your man is crying, but he doesn't know where he's going, and he keeps driving through the same part of town.
I don't know why I said a man in my analogy, but I suppose it just popped into my head. A man or a woman, but and this thought of people saying, you know, can we help you? Can we give you direction? You know, it's like people want, sometimes we seek help from people, but if we don't know what it is we really want, if we're talking a lot about what we don't want, where we don't want to be, then we can't help ourselves, and other people can't help us either. So there's something about that.
There is something about that, and there's something there about asking for help, isn't there? Because if we don't know what help we want, and I think actually it's a double-edged sword in a way, because if we don't know what we want, we can't ask for help. But also, we don't know that we need help until we take the time to stop and work out what it is that we actually want.
Yeah.
So that pause and reflection is so important, of actually what is going on, like, where am I? And then when you know what you want, you're like, right, okay, well, I can't do that all by myself. Or I can do it by myself, but it will take me a lot longer and it'll be a lot harder.
Yeah.
How can I elicit some help in order to help me to get there?
And I guess that's the job of a therapist, isn't it? Because you can say to somebody, I'm not happy in my life situation, and they'll do their best to help you. But a therapist will help you understand, well, what is it that you want? What are the goals? Where do you want? What is the destination that you want to have? And I think a lot of the time people have never really stopped to think about that.
You know, a lot. I've got a couple of women that I'm working with at the moment who came to me with quite clear goals about what the problem. They were quite clear on what the problem was, but they didn't know what the solution was. But actually, when we started working and we actually started really digging into it, we've ended up working on completely different things. Still with the same goal in mind. We're still working towards the goal. In fact, with one of them, I did a reevaluate. We evaluated the original goals last week, and it's like, are we working towards? Because even though, like, we both work therapeutically, we want to make sure that we're helping them to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. And we came back, and it's like, yeah, we have met most, if not all, of these goals by now. But the way that we have done it has been in such a completely different way to what we thought we were, because the issue actually that we needed to deal with wasn't at all what she thought she needed to deal with.
Yeah. So there's something about coming back to ourselves, isn't there, and reconnecting with our inner self that really matters in life if we're going to be happy.
Yeah.
And how quickly we can reach that place of happiness rather than spending many years driving around in circles. I'm just wondering how, thinking about our audience, what guidance can we give them on how to reconnect with themselves? Because it's a sort of a concept, but what tips could we give them? Where can they start?
Well, for me, I talk a lot about self-care, and self-care is a really huge area of work for me and for my clients, because, like I said, we are in my world, we are all working so hard, and the hamster wheel of life, right? We just keep going, we keep going, we keep going. And we think everything's okay because we're managing to we're just about managing to spin all of those plates. Nothing's like properly, maybe, you know, nothing's kind of like crashing to the ground, or maybe it is crashing to the ground. But for the main part, we're just kind of like spinning. But actually, when we take time, actually, what's going on is that you've got the plates all spinning up here. But actually what's happening on the ground is that the ground is kind of disintegrating and falling apart. Because we're actually taking time to nurture the ground that we're standing on. So it's kind of, it's turning to rubble underneath us. When we take time to actually stop, and actually, so for me, like part of my absolutely essential self-care routine, as you well know, is going for a morning walk. Right, just having that time to just really kind of be in that moment with myself and think and just kind of have that time. Because otherwise, I know what happens if I don't do that. I'm just spinning. And so I always recommend to my clients, you know, whatever that looks like to you, whatever your method of self-care is, whether that's walking, whether that's exercising, whether that's journaling, whether that's doing yoga, like whatever it is, just take time to just really check in with yourself, because you will never get that clarity all the time you are rushing. Your brain needs to be still in order to do that. And that is something that everybody can do. Like there's no excuses. Everybody can do that if they want to. And it's free and it's easy.
And it doesn't take a lot of work, does it, to maybe have a 5-minute meditation or a 1-minute meditation or a 5-minute walk or whatever it is. Even if somebody is super busy, they can find a minute in the day, or even if it's a check-in, how am I talking to myself? You know, because that's self-care as well, isn't it? I'm very curious about, it's one thing, you know, we can say from the practical level, self-care, and it's so important. I'm also aware of how might a person know that they need to do this? How can they themselves, because we can offer this guidance, but how can a person know that they need to stop and check in with themselves? And what I'm thinking is, there's a great benefit to being able to get in the habit of pausing to reflect on how we're feeling, because our feelings guide us. And if we're not feeling great, then our feelings, I always say, your feelings are your true friend. They never lie to you. They'll always tell you the truth. And if you're not feeling great, then there's something that's a voice that's saying, you know, you need to just take a pause here. And really, if you're not feeling great, there's a reason for that. Check in, think about it, and take some action on it, even if it's baby steps.
Yeah. And also, if you're not allowing yourself to have that time, then that's already an indication that something's off, right? I mean, if you can't make time to just pause and reflect, really once a day, but at least a few times a week, then that's already an indication to me that something's off. But also, like, you know, I think the thing for me is that if you're not taking the time to pause to reflect, right, energetically something's going on, because nobody should actually be that busy that you can't take the time to reflect. But actually, what that indicates to me is that you don't want to take the time to pause and reflect, because you know at a subconscious level that something's off and you don't want to hear it. So we are very good at being busy when we don't want to take time to actually dig a little bit deeper into what's actually going on.
I think human beings are masters at it.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's I think that's an obvious one. I think, I say obvious, I mean obvious to me, right? Not obvious to everyone else. Obvious to me that, and I know it, Marlene, because I've done it, right? I'm equally the master at doing it, which is why I feel so confident saying it.
Yeah, we all do it.
But then there's also, if there is something really, really significant, or maybe not even really that significant, but if there is something there that you are masking, I love talking about masking. I love talking about dissociation, because I think that is, again, that hamster wheel is a perfect, really easy example of how dissociation and masking work. We just kind of carry on regardless and just kind of smile and push through. But actually, if there is something there, then I think acknowledge to yourself that you need some support. Acknowledge to yourself, and this is where I start to kind of feel really passionate. It's like, at what point do we not become worthy of investing in ourselves for that support? If you know, or you feel that you need additional support, you need help, you need to dig deep on a couple of issues and kind of blow away the cobwebs or do the healing, why wouldn't you ask for help?
Yeah.
Because that's a self-worth issue at the end of the day. That's whether or not you feel you are worthy of that.
I think there's something here about having a huge amount of compassion as well, isn't there, for ourselves? If we catch ourselves in that, I'm too busy to reconnect with myself, and I'm too busy avoiding by being busy. I don't want to look at this issue or this feeling that's uncomfortable for me because something needs to change in my life, and I've been avoiding that, stick my head in the sand, as they say. I think there's something about, first of all, having a lot of compassion, because everybody does it. There's not anything bad to do that. It's just about recognizing and pausing just momentarily to say, gosh, maybe I could be doing that, and just entertain that idea, and then allow yourself, because then you can allow yourself to think about, well, what am I actually feeling? And are there any changes, or is there some support I could get? Or, would it be helpful to maybe do some pausing in the day? I mean, I meditate every morning. I can't live without my meditation. But, we all need something. We need some way of reconnecting, and it comes on all these levels, from self-care, practical things, spiritual things, listening to our feelings. And actually, another way, I guess, of reconnecting with ourselves is talking to other people about ourselves and how we feel.
Yeah, sharing and being really open about it. Yeah. I was just I was just talking about this earlier, talking about tribe and how important it is to have a good tribe around you, and surrounding yourself with people. And it doesn't have to be loads of people, but like having people in your life who share your values, who share your, who share your goals, your desire to develop, to grow, and people who aren't going to make you feel silly or ashamed in any way for those goals and those dreams and maybe those fears or concerns. And that's it, isn't it? Like, if we can, some of the best conversations come out of just really light-hearted conversations that we're having with our friends or our colleagues or peers around what's going on, and you can get some real nuggets there. But again, that's also about, for me, that's also about self-care. That's actually making the time to have those kind of conversations and prioritize, kind of like downing tools for a bit, and seeing your friends, having a chat.
Yeah. So we can reconnect with ourselves on so many levels, but I think ultimately what we're saying here is how important it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the benefits of it, really. Because our whole, excuse me, I've got a tickle. The benefits of it, you know, the benefits of reconnecting, our entire life gets better, doesn't it? Our relationships get better, our confidence grows, we feel better in ourselves, our health improves, everything. And that, you know, so to reconnect with yourself is really important, really important if we want to lead the life we deserve to lead. We all deserve to lead a really happy, you know, fulfilled life.
Happy and fulfilled.
Happy and fulfilled. Yeah, that's a Pascale thing. Yeah, yeah, but it's true, isn't it? It's true. So there's something about coming home to self, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So how can people get in touch with you, Marléne, if they want to know more about reconnecting to themselves or reconnecting to their partner or any other issues that they might have going on?
Well, we'll put the link to my website and your website, will we, in the comments below, and at my website, and I'm sure at yours as well, from what I know. There are tons of things there. There's lots of information. There's lots of resources and help on lots of topics that help people to really have a great life, great relationships, be super confident, live life on their own terms, and just be happy beings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so website links below, or drop us a DM, drop us a direct message on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook, or come over to Facebook if you're not watching on Facebook. And don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Link also in the comments below if you want to watch any more of the videos that we've done in the past, or get notified of any other future ones coming up. Thank you so much, Marléne. Always a pleasure.
Okay, same to you, Pascale. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye.